Yes, what can we say? Let's try and discuss it. What we did last week. So we did planning and preparing to teach. What went into it? The lesson plan, what went into it? So that quickly today we'll look at today's own. What did we say? What can we say? Mm.
Hello, madam.
Yes.
Yes, so I remember we went through the planning and preparing for teaching,
Mm-hmm.
which has to do with the direction and order in which the teaching will go.
Okay.
So I remind you made us to understand that good lessons are product of good planning, and therefore, if you plan and you plan well, you will be able to effectively deliver your lesson. And so, as part of our teaching, our learning for last week, you took us through the key effective planning that we have to do before we actually go and do the teaching.
Okay.
And so, as part of the lesson plan preparation, you took us through the key components of the lesson plan, which has to do with the explicit objectives, the materials that is being needed, the methods and then procedures that we need to undertake in order to ensure that students get what they need to get. Again, you also asked a question on scheme of work, and we share ideas on it. So virtually, this is the little I can say about what we did last week. Thank you.
Okay, thank you too. All right, so he has given us a brief or a summary of what we did last week. I want us to take one more example. I want us to look at one more example of the lesson plan since it is new from what we normally know. Look at it and we are all going to discuss it. Can you see?
Yes, madam, we can see.
Okay, so let's look at this one too, how it looks like. So this is also an example of the lesson plan. So this one we are looking at bank reconciliation. So the subject comes. So business studies, the week, the duration about 25 minutes. And we are going to teach the form ones. Then the main strand is the financial accounting. Then the sub-strand is bank reconciliation. So we have the content standard. That is, the learner demonstrates understanding of the need for reconciling bank records with the cash book. So why do we have to do bank reconciliation? So it means that we are going to reconcile our bank records with what we have in our cash book. So the learning outcome, what do we want the learners to get by the time we are done? So in your case, you have in your books indicators and the rest. So we have learning outcomes. We have by the end of the lesson, the learner or learners will be able to identify and correct discrepancies between the bank statements and the cash book. So we expect that the learner will be able to see, so he can identify that there is a problem here. And if he is able to identify that there are problems in the bank statement, then we expect that he should be able to correct those problems in the bank statement. Then again, we expect the learner to prepare a simple bank reconciliation statement. We expect that he or she would be able to prepare the bank reconciliation statement. Then the indicators are what? So the indicators are to prepare a bank reconciliation statement from a data that the learner will be given. So you'll be given a data. So we expect that you will be able to prepare the bank reconciliation from that data. Then what are some of the questions that will be asked? Essential questions. So why do differences arise between cash book and the bank statement? Of course, these are the questions that will come out for the learner to be able to identify those problems. If this is the case, if this and that is why I think there should be discrepancies in the lesson plan, then these are likely questions that we can ask. And then how do we reconcile these differences? So these are essential questions that we can ask. And then we have the pedagogical strategies or the 21st century skills and competencies. We have the guided practice, the collaborative learning, and then the direct instruction. So the teacher would guide the learners. So the teacher would not be there to be spoon feeding the learners as we used to do. It's only a guide. And then collaboration, they will be doing cooperative learning in the class. Again, the teacher will also direct their instruction. Then we have the teaching learning resources that we are going to use in the class. We have printed sample questions. So some questions will be taken into the class. We'll have bank statements and other statements. Then we have keynote on differentiation. So you see, when you are nowadays in the classroom, we expect teachers to take into consideration the different abilities in the classroom. Those who are fast learners, those who are slow learners. If we have disabled people in the class, you have to make sure you consider all. So the first thing that we are going to do is to support the slower learners with step-by-step guidance. So those who are slow, we are going to guide them with a step-by-step guidance. And then we encourage advanced learners to create sample questions or help peers. So those who are advanced, those who already understand and are moving fast, we are going to encourage them to sometimes help their peers. So you put them in groups, and then you can even make them group leaders to be helping the rest so that the slower ones would catch up. Well, there are some key words in the bank statements like cash book, bank statement, unpresented checks, uncredited checks, and reconciliation. Now the lesson itself. So we have the lesson 1. The main lesson drawing on concept, skills, and competencies to reinforce as in the subject teacher manual. So there is a manual for teachers that you are always supposed to read so that it will guide you in your teaching. So we have the teacher activity in the first column, and then the learner activity also follows. So before we move on to the activities, so there should be a starter. There should be a starter for about 3 minutes. So you can greet the learners and you quickly recap reasons for discrepancies already taught. Okay, why some discrepancies occur, not in the accounting, what you are going to do exactly. And then sometimes you can even ask learners to mention few items that cause bank and cash differences. So this one, you can ask them what can make the bank balance not be the same as the cash book balance. So as you are asking them, they'll be bringing their ideas. Then as a general rule, banks and send their customers, be it individual or firm, a statement which represents a copy of the customer's account in the bank. Then the statement gives particulars of all transactions affecting the customer's account and show in addition the daily balance thereof. And then periodically, the customer obtains the statement for examination and comparison with his or her own cash book. So it often happens that the bank balance shown in the cash book disagree with the balance as shown by the bank statement, and the customer must determine why the differences exist and bring the two set of records into agreement. And this process is known as the bank reconciliation. So the statement will also follow. So with the intro, so the teacher, after the learners you have discussed with them, the teacher comes out with this, and then with the learner side, you share similar experiences and engage in brief discussion, prepared to apply theoretical knowledge in practical work. Then the teacher again will share the printed bank statement sample to the learners, and then we'll call some students to read it aloud. And then you walk learners through the steps of the solution and explain how each discrepancy occurs or is being treated. Then the learners too will be following with the steps and copy the questions and solutions into their books and then ask for more clarification. So this is how it goes. You need to have the teacher's activity, and then you have the learner's activity. So whatever you do, it must correspond with the learners. So if you ask a question, we expect the learners to also answer. So for instance, there is an activity here. It says solve shared sample questions on the board with learners. So this is the sample questions, and then the expected solution is there. I will share this material with you, so I wouldn't waste much time on it. So these are the questions, the balances are there, and you see that there are some discrepancies, why they did not enter some, why they entered some, and why we have the differences in them. So you explain. You see, before that, you had already taught them why banks have their balances, or why there are some differences between the bank balance and then the cash book balance. So you are now, because it is 20 minutes, you are now coming to teach them how to look for the differences in the cash book and then the bank balance or the bank statement. So assessment, domain of knowledge aligned to the curriculum and the subject teacher manual. So you identify items causing the differences, you match items to whether they are added or subtracted, complete a reconciliation statement using sample data, then you explain why the adjustments are made. So with all this, you will help them. You help them explain. Once you have introduced and then you have the questions there, you help them identify where there are problems. And then after that is it, you look for it. And then when you are about closing, you don't just walk out of the class or you don't just clean the board and go away. You need to either yourself, you summarize the whole lesson, or you can ask any of the students to summarize the lesson, or you can even do question and answer. You can be asking them questions so that you will know whether they have gotten it. Then when you are done, you don't leave it there. You must evaluate the learners. And with evaluation, it is not just standing in front of the learners and they're asking, what is this, what is that? No. With the evaluation, you need to assess each person in the class. So what you do is you can either give them class exercise, class tests, homework, something that will let everybody participate for you to actually mark and know their strength and weakness. Because in the objective, you said you wanted them to identify and then be able to do the right thing in the reconciliation, bank reconciliation. So having taught them, you don't ask about 3 people and then the rest you leave them. Everybody must do it so that you will be able to see. So to end the lesson, learners will reflect on the essential questions like, why do differences arise in the cash book and the bank statement, and how do we reconcile these differences? So learners will share that differences are often caused by things like unpresented checks, uncredited checks, and then bank charges. And they together, you will summarize that reconcile. And then you also compare both records, identify the differences, and make adjustments. After everything, you bring reflection or remarks. So as I told you earlier, the remarks column is there. You don't touch it. When you are done teaching, if you finish teaching, then you give the remarks. Whether the teaching went on well, you write it. If it did not, you also go ahead and write. We do this because you don't know what will happen. So if you decide to write the remarks there and then, let's say you wrote successfully taught, and unfortunately you were not able to teach, you have also written it there. What do you do? That is why we say for the remarks column, you leave it blank after you have taught. Then you go ahead and then you go ahead and make sure that you write whatever happened there. Any questions or contribution? Then we go on. Do we have any question? Do we have any question? Any question? Hello?
We are here. We are
We are
here.
here.
So do you have any question or contribution?
Silence means no question, I
Okay.
presume.
Okay. Okay. So
Madam, the questions will come as we move forward.
okay, I get you. So quickly, we are done with this one. I want us to look at last week, did we look at the teaching methods like lecture method, question and answer, and the rest. I don't think we did it.
No, we didn't do it.
Okay, so let's look at that.
Doc, let me come in with this question, and I may forget. Can I proceed?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Please, with regards to examination, are we going to be asked to prepare a lesson note or lesson plan based on a topic that will be given to us, or we will be asked to choose a topic and prepare lesson plan to that effect?
Okay, so which one do you want? Okay, so
what? Okay, coming.
So I've not even thought about it. I'll think about it and then let you know. But if we want you to do a lesson plan, definitely we'll not give you something that you are going to get confused. I will consult my coordinator, and then we'll let you know what we are going to give you. When are you writing the exam?
Somewhere in July.
Somewhere in July. Okay, so we'll let you know. So I think by next week we are meeting, right?
Yes, madam.
Yes. Our final meeting.
Next week will be our final meeting. Hey, then my assignment, you need to submit to. Are you done?
Madam, the assignment, some of us didn't get it too.
Oh, this one. So contact your course rep. I said, prepare a lesson plan and then choose a topic of your choice. And then look at the format that I've given you. And then prepare a lesson plan for me. How many are you in the class?
I think we are 12.
You are 12. Oh, 12, then you can do it 2-2 so that I can get 6. Or
Yes, madam.
so you can pair 2-2, and then this week, let me have it. I want to see how you have gotten it. I want to see how you have gotten it.
And madam, hey.
Yes. I'm listening.
Madam,
don't mind me. Please, this one, last week we made mention that we don't have access to the senior high curriculum.
Okay. So we said, okay. Then
you said you will check and get some for us.
I forgot. So let's course rep, when we are done, kindly WhatsApp me so that I can remember and then share with you.
Okay, madam.
So when we are done, just do that for me. So that at least you can look at the topics that they have. And then I want to see how you understand the lesson, because you see, the lesson plan is what you are going to use for your off-campus teaching practice. So if you don't get it well, you are going to make mistakes. But for the lesson plan, as I said, if it will come in the exam, I will discuss with my OD and then we'll get back to you. And even in the course of the week, I can put it on the page. Maybe next week when we meet.
So, madam, if it will come in the exam, sir.
Yes.
Which means we need to be abreast with it.
So, so that is why I want you to prepare one for me to see. You get it?
Yes, madam.
Yes, so that is why I want you to do the assignment to see how you have gotten it. Or we can even give you a case study. If we give you a case study, then out of that, you prepare the lesson plan. You know what goes into the lesson plan. You know planning and preparing to teach. how we can get the lesson plan. You need to get your scheme of work from there, and then even the methods. So that is why we are going to treat the methods, the various methods for teaching. So when you are preparing your lesson plan, you can use any of these to support what you are doing. Of course, now, as I told you, the curriculum allows the learners to do most of the work. So you, the teacher, you are there to just guide them. Okay. All right. So we'll look at the teaching techniques, various teaching techniques that we have. So we have the lecture method. The lecture method. You see, initially, most of us did not understand what the lecture method is. They were thinking that those in the tertiary institutions are the ones that only use the lecture method. So when you say lecture, oh, I'm going for lectures. I'm going to, so they are only going to sit there for them to lecture them. But surprisingly, at the basic level, we use lecture method, and soon you know the reasons why I said at the basic school, even class 1 and the rest, KG, we use lecture method. So the lecture method, the purpose of the lecture method is to just present basic facts or concepts to a relatively large group of students. So if you have a large group of students, then you want to present some facts or some concept to them, you use lecture method. And it is useful in explaining difficult or complex concepts before students engage in an active lesson, or they can even read a test. The lecture method may also be effective after an introductory activity or demonstration has captured students' attention and sparked their curiosity. So you see, as I said, so if let's say you are in class 1 and then you want to treat something on nature or something on soil, because they look at how they are very small and getting concept, they cannot just give you answers. Sometimes you need to explain some of the concepts, some of the principles, some of the facts for them to understand before, if you want to even do demonstration or others, you can go ahead. So that is why I said at the basic level, we use lecture method, because we use it to explain facts. We use it to explain concepts before any activity is being carried out. Ideally, the lecture is illustrated with visual aids or demonstration, which will include student participation in some way. So with younger students, especially, the teacher should be talking for a long period of time without involving students actively. Because they are small, sometimes the teacher, you need to engage them for a very long time to explain certain things to them before you finally bring them in. So the teacher should plan the lesson presentation well in order to maximize students' interest in the learning. And the teacher must have good lesson delivery skills, and he or she must use questions and discussions to reinforce the key concept he or she wants to present to the students. And so you don't just move to the class and you are saying, I'm using lecture method. You go and stand there, give them anything, and then you move away. No. When you decide to use lecture method, you have to explain very well the concepts. And if you don't explain well, sometimes in a class, they will even lose interest because the teacher is going to talk for a very long time. They will lose interest and then they will be doing their own thing. So you do it in such a way that you get their attention. And you must have a very good lesson delivery skills. And in the course of the lecture method, you are supposed to use question and answer so that you can get their attention on you, or else nobody will get you. By the time you are looking at them, they will all be sleeping. So we have suggestions for more effective presentation. And you see, before, as I said, before you can present well for the learners to get it, let's look at some of these suggestions. The first one is preparation. Then the next one is the introduction. We have the delivery, and then summary. Then you bring in question and answers. So for the lecture method, we have the preparation, introduction, we have the delivery, the lesson delivery itself, then summary, and then question and answers. So they are about 5. The preparation, introduction, delivery, then summary, and the question and answer period. With the preparation, so you need to outline the main points and organize them in an orderly manner. How you can present the lecture method. You outline the main points and organize them in an orderly manner. First of all, you plan examples and illustrations. Because you'll be talking for a very long time, you need to get examples. As you are explaining, you don't just move and then you talk, that's all. No. You move, give them examples so that they can understand what you are giving them. Then bring in illustrations so that it can also boost their understanding. Then again, so these are how you go about it. List key questions and find ways of using them to involve students. You list the key questions and then you find how you are going to involve the students. And then if possible, you can prepare handouts that will assist the students in listening or taking notes. You see, sometimes when you are talking for a very long time, people can lose concentration. But if there is a material, like a handout that the person or the students are looking on them, it can help them to actually make notes. And then you prepare visual aids for the lesson. You prepare visual aids for the lesson. When sometimes even video, and then they'll be looking at it as you present. And then you keep the lesson presentation as brief as possible. You don't need to talk plenty. If you are done explaining, you don't need to add more so that they become tired. No, keep it as brief as possible. And then you plan the lesson time well in order to have time for questions and answers. You need to, if they have given you 2 hours, or let's say 1 hour, you don't have to consume all the 1 hour. You need to, let's say, finish within 45 minutes, and then 15 minutes, you give them time to ask questions for clarification. You don't just finish all the time and then no. You make sure you plan the time in such a way that they have a place for question and answers. And then prepare notes for reference, but not to read. So you can, you know that as human beings, it is not all the time that we can store so many things in our heads. Yes. So there are some topics that you can treat without even looking on any book or material. But there are some that sometimes you need to refer and then the point will come. So in the same way, we are saying that you can prepare small notes and then you can take it to the classroom. But when you go, don't sit somewhere or stand somewhere and then be reading to them. You read from the book. So plan examples and illustrate, list. No, not that. There are points there. So as we are explaining, you look at the points and then you bring the explanation so that you don't forget it, so that it can also be sequential. You take the notes, all right, but don't be reading to them. That is what we mean by that. And then we have the introduction. The introduction is as simple as this. So you outline the main point on the chalkboard. So the point that you are going to give. So if you take the topic that you are going to treat, like what we just did, bank reconciliation, what are the main points? You look at the bank statement, you look at the cash book. So these are the main points, the main things that we are going to look at. So you pick out the main points that you are going to look at, and then you put them on the board so that at least it can help the students, especially if students are expected to take notes. So if you expect them to take notes, you put the points there. So when you put bank statement there and you are explaining, they know what it is. If you put cash book there and you're explaining, they know what is there. Then we say generate interest from the beginning. The moment you go to the class, generate their interest. You can provoke the thought of pupils by using pictures, or sometimes you can use questions. Other times you can use stories, or even simple puzzle. They can solve it. As soon as you do that, their interest is on you, and they will follow you throughout. So that is it for the introduction. Then we have the delivery. So here it is the delivery. I don't know why it did not come after I'll do that. So we have the delivery. What you are supposed to do is you maintain eye contact with different pupils. You are the teacher in the classroom. Don't look at one person, then you finish and go. No. They are your learners, your students. So in your class, in your case, for instance, you are 12, only 12. So as a teacher, if you are teaching, just maintain eye contact with different students. You look at this one, you look at this one's face like that, so that they will follow you. Okay, if you look at one person, others will think that, oh, I don't matter in the class. The teacher has not even recognized me in the class. So they'll be doing their own thing. But as soon as you look at them, they feel important at any point in time. They feel that you can even ask them questions. And then you need to also vary your voice, your facial expression, even your gestures and your position. So in classroom, as you are teaching, you can be moving. Okay, you move to this side a little, you move to that side a little. Your facial expression, at some point you tell them something, you smile a little, and your voice, where it needs to go up a little, it goes. When it has to come down, it comes. So these are all techniques in the lecture method. Again, you illustrate the main points with concrete examples, analogies, and even stories. You also use nonverbal stimuli and illustrations like pictures, models, props, symbols. You can use some of these things to stimulate their interest in the lesson. Again, you involve the pupils by soliciting questions, examples, and then response from them. So you are teaching. You see that they are following. So at some point, ask them, do you have any question? Any response? Do you have any contribution? What are some of the examples of this? And then they'll give you. You use some of these things to engage them. Because it is lecture, you are going to do more of the talking, but they don't have to sit down for a very long time without doing anything. Other than that, they will lose interest. So we are saying that you can engage them with some of these. Then you also can weave in provocative and rhetorical questions to check student comprehension at intervals during the lecture period. Then you also repeat and reinforce key words and main points and concepts. Sometimes you say a point and then you intentionally repeat it for reinforcement. You want them to get that thing, so you repeat it. Again, you use silence and pauses for emphasis and to stimulate their thoughts. As you are teaching, at some point, you can even keep quiet and be looking at them to show whether they are following. If you keep quiet, those who are listening will come and will listen. Why has he stopped? Is there any problem? So sometimes you keep quiet, you look at them, and then it can bring them back to you. You can also try using the indirect method by giving false statements to them. And with that, you see that they can reason out of that. Then we have the summary. When you are ending the class, end the class so that their attention is not lost. If you see that you yourself, you are talking for a very long time, they are pupils and they are learners. Even generally, individuals, we don't like people who talk for a very long time. That is why sometimes when you go to church, the preacher will be talking, because when the preacher is preaching, that time we don't talk. So it is just like lecture. So the preacher will be talking for a very long time. You see that when the preacher has kept long, you hear some footsteps. Some church members will be dragging their feet as if they are picking something. Indirectly, they are telling the preacher that he's keeping long. So you don't need to keep learners for a very long time. You end the class before student attention is lost. And then when you are ending the class too, you repeat the main point in the lesson. Okay, so today we learned about bank reconciliation statement. We saw that when the bank statement and the cash book are not agreeing, it means there are some discrepancies in there. And we have seen the causes of such discrepancies or such differences. And this is how we can solve them, by doing ABC. So you have actually brought out the main point in the lesson. The starting and everything that you started there doesn't matter. But the main thing that they are taking home is what you are going to summarize for them. Again, you can also guide the learners to even summarize. I told you, you can guide them to summarize the main point. You, after repeating and bringing out the main point, let them summarize the lesson by bringing out the main points. And then sometimes you can also leave some unanswered questions for pupils to ponder over and then discuss. Then the last part is you solicit a question and answer period and then discussion. So when you are done with the lecture method, the last part, you let them bring question and answers, or you yourself, you can even ask questions, and then the students can also bring questions as well. During this stage, when the questions and everything are there, then the class will go ahead and do the discussion. So solicit and respond positively to pupils' questions. Redirect questions for other pupils to answer. When they bring out questions, you can redirect questions in the class for other people to also answer, so that there can be a discussion in the class. After everything, then you, the teacher, you can also add your voice. So we can even structure small group discussions with problems to solve questions to answer. Any question or contribution on this? Do we have any question or contribution? Any question or contribution? Hello? Do we have any question or contribution?
Madam,
No, from my
Yeah, I
I
think
think
one person has a question, yes.
we are following. Now look at the lecture method
Yes.
at the lower, let's say the junior high level and the senior high level. Per the discussion now, it means that the lecture method is even more useful at the junior high level, if I get you right.
Yeah, sure.
But here is the case, the new curriculum is also saying that the children have to be involved in a lot of activities, hands-on activities. So how do you blend the two?
Okay, that is fine. So, as they have brought, what they have brought is indeed very good. But you see, the lecture method, as we already discussed, when you have concepts or basic facts that you want to explain, you cannot do away with. You see, the teachers in the school, the new curriculum is not doing the teachers away, it's not throwing the teachers away entirely. That's, oh, we don't need your services, the learners can learn on their own. No, that is not what the new curriculum is saying. For instance, a topic, let's say at the junior high school, I'm using the lecture method as a topic that you are treating. Let's say you are treating lecture method and you have asked the students to do it on their own without you saying anything. You see, they will find it a little bit problematic. So with the lecture method, what you can do is you first of all, before the learners even go into their activities, you first of all explain the facts, the examples, all the things that they need to know, okay, before you allow them to go on with their activities or their task. You can't leave them. Other than that, then we don't need teachers in the school. But the curriculum now is telling us that there are so many things that we actually use to do for learners. Now we want them to do on their own. For instance, if they are doing mathematics, you solve one for them. So if, let's say, it is lecture method that you are using, you use the lecture method to explain. You can use question and answers to also get the ideas. Then from there, other questions in the book, you don't solve for them. They'll be doing it for you. They'll be trying their hands on them. You have seen our education system. It is not like a place that we have labs and then the learners can be doing most of the things themselves. Ours is more theoretical. So some of these things, before they can go ahead and do on their own, you explain by using some of these methods to explain. Then when they have gotten it, you give them assignments, you give them group work. So putting them in groups, do this, do that. You are now using the new curriculum, what they want. After explaining, you can group them, or they can be doing that individually. So they are not saying we should do away with all these methods. No. All these methods are there to guide us, to help us know what we are supposed to do. But when we are able to do it, we only assist the learners to do whatever they are doing. So if you put them in groups, we don't expect you to go and sit inside their group and then be telling them what to do. No. So the new curriculum is saying that when you have put them in groups, let them do it. So let's say the bank reconciliation, I'm using it because that is what we have done this afternoon. So you have taught them bank reconciliation. Now you have so many illustrations, so many questions for them to solve. You put them in groups. Okay, I took this bank statement from commercial bank. I took this bank statement from Zenith Bank. So group 1, do the commercial bank's own. Group 2, do Zenith Bank. Group 3, do Prudential Bank. Group 4, do ADB. So you see, they will be doing it themselves. You have introduced them to what you want them to do. Then after explaining and then making sure that they understand, you don't go back and then be teaching them one after the other whilst they are in their groups. No. You give it to them, then at that point, they will also be doing it on their own. That is what the new curriculum is actually saying. So when they finish, they will come and show it to you where you think that they have not done it well so much. You can also explain again. And then from there, you can also give them assignments. So these are some of the things that we want them to be doing. And then you consider, so when you allow them to be working like that, sometimes we have students who are very weak. Others too learn fast. So maybe by putting them in groups and then considering all those things, it helps. So that is all that the new curriculum is saying. But as for our methods, we are not throwing them away. We are still going to use them, but it is not going to be for the whole period. So if you have 45 minutes, if you have 1 hour, you are not going to stand there for the 1 hour to do everything. You make sure that you can explain some of the points to them, and then later let them also work on their own. I believe you are okay now.
Yes, madam.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so we are moving on to the question and answer method. Question and answer method. You see, questions are very powerful tools, and as I said, in every lecture method, in every method that you use in teaching, you will find question and answers. For instance, the lecture method, I told you that for you to get their attention fully, you need to use questions to get their attention on you. When you are done, you have to still use question and answers to make sure whether they understand or not. And then the question and answer itself is a method of teaching. We use the question and answer to teach. So questions are very powerful tools for stimulating thoughts and also checking pupils' comprehension. A question and answer activity can increase motivation and provide variation from more passive forms of learning, such as listening, reading, and then writing exercises. Now, the teacher should have a repertoire of various kinds of questions which can elicit different kinds and levels of thinking. So because the question and answer is a method on its own, as a teacher, you need to have a place, or you need to have so many, because if you decide to use it as a method of teaching, then you should have various questions that you can use in teaching, not just 1 or 2 questions, no, but you need to have various questions to help the learners. Again, we are saying that questions are very powerful tools for stimulating thought and checking student comprehension. Yes. They can be used to encourage quiet students to participate in the lesson and to even promote interest in the topic and to spark discussion. Now we are saying that pupils' responses tell the teacher much about the teaching plan in meeting the objectives. And finally, a question and answer activity can increase motivation and provide variation from more passive forms of learning, such as listening, reading, and even writing exercises. Now, the teacher should have a repertoire of various kinds of questions which can elicit different kinds or levels of thinking. Although there are many ways to categorize questions, we are going to look at about 4 of them. We are going to look at 4 types of questions. The first one that we are going to look at is the direct or the convergent types of question. The direct or convergent type of question. So with the direct questions, so these are the questions that ask for recall of facts and description from memory. The direct question, so what is accounting? Is a direct question, and we require that you bring it from memory. So direct or convergent questions are questions that ask for recall of facts and description from memory. And then the second one is the probing. And these are follow-ups. So they are follow-up questions that seek clarification, expansion, justification, restatement, or to redirect a response. So you have asked a question, so what is accounting? The person explains. and you are not satisfied. So you want to bring out follow-up questions. So what do you think users of accounting information will be? Now it goes on. So probing questions are follow-up questions that seek clarification. Sometimes you want clarification of something, whether so this question that I asked, I wanted to know, let's say the learner understand what accounting is, and then those who are actually involved, those who need the information. So when I do this, or I want to see if the person can think fast or can give me reasons why something happens. Then we have high order thinking. High order thinking. So there are questions that ask for analysis. High order thinking. They ask for analysis. They also ask for evaluation, and then problem solving, and comparison, then cause and effect or inference. So high order questions is when you want them to think, you want the learners to analyze something. So analyze or evaluate this, give your judgments on this. That's high order. Then we have divergent questions. They make students to express opinions, make judgments, and offer interpretation. They are expanded questions. So with this one, it says, so what is your take on this case that has happened? What do you think? So for instance, last week, I think Wednesday or Thursday, an accident occurred at the university gate. I think a car on the Takrady Road there. So 2 vehicles and then one tricycle, the one they normally call Pragia. They were in the middle of the road. You see, the road is a double road. So 2 at the other side, 2 on the other side. So they were actually standing in the middle, waiting for those cars coming from Takrady so that they can cross. And all of a sudden, the truck ran on them. So when a question of this is asked, I've been asked, so what is your take on this? Should we do ramps or should there be traffic lights? What should we do? So with this one, we have opened it. We don't have one single answer that we want you to bring. It is something that we want your opinion. So what do you think? What should we do over there? Should we bring ramps there, or should we bring traffic lights, or should we construct the road again, and then those who are going to town, they will pass somewhere, and then those who are also moving from Takrady to Accra, they also have their own way and then move, so that some of these things will not happen. When we ask you a question like this, we want you to bring your idea. So these type of questions are divergent questions, giving various opinions, making various judgments, or you offer interpretation of something. Something happens and then you think you can interpret why this happened. Okay. If you have any question on the question and answer, do you have any question on them?
Yes, madam.
Yes.
So, madam, in this case, for example, the divergent question.
Yeah.
That the teacher has a specific answer he or she is looking for, or whatever opinion that is expressed by the learners is accepted.
Okay. So just as I told you, I said an accident occurred, and you have all witnessed. Let's say I've told you, or maybe let's say you were there. You have all seen what happened, and now there is a question is being asked. So what do you think we can do at that place? I don't think I have any specific answer from you. I just want your ideas on that thing that is happening. So if a teacher asks you a question like that, probably he or she wants to solve a problem or wants to see how you can think very fast. It depends on what the teacher is using, but with this type of question, there is no wrong or right answer. The teacher wants your idea. The teacher wants to see how you can give your opinion on something. Like as the example I gave you, if you share your opinion, nobody will say it is wrong or right, because we have not written it in any book. Probably the teacher wants them to do, let's say, ramps over there. But you also came in to say that they can do traffic light. Probably the teacher has not even thought about the traffic light. So, then we can have the two. There should be a traffic light. There should be ramps or something. So this one, there is no right or wrong answer, or there is no concrete answer for that this type of questions, the divergent questions. It's different. It varies. As I said, it varies. They only want your opinion on the issue that has happened, or on the question. Okay. Are you okay?
Yes, madam.
Okay, so quickly, let me give you the questioning techniques. There are some techniques that we use in questioning. The first thing that you do is, as a teacher, before you can question someone, so like as you said, you said, oh, madam, is a divergent question. I don't think you just ask the question. You think about it. You thought of it. You are thinking. So what should it be? So before you can ask somebody a question, you think through. You think about the question. So you give yourself time to think about the question you want to ask, and then you phrase it yourself inside your head. So if you want to ask anybody a question, I don't think anybody gets up and then ask any question in their home. Before you ask a question, you think about it in your head, and then you can ask. Then the class will wait while you think. And then as part of your lesson preparation, you write out few key question designed for student understanding, and then to provide discussion. And then you can also use thinking questions as well as recall questions. So it shouldn't be one way. You shouldn't use only recall questions. What is no? But sometimes you can use questions that will make them think. And then you can also prepare few questions with specific students in mind. As teachers, you know that we know those who are very good and those who are in the middle, and then those who are also weak. So when in bringing or preparing your questions, sometimes you can have some students in mind. For instance, if it is a divergent question or high order question, maybe you have some students who can actually give you some answers that you really like. So you have them in your mind. And then there are some students who do not even open their mouth in their class. So you prepare their questions as well. So we are saying that sometimes you prepare questions and then have some students in mind how they are going to approach the question. The second point is you direct the question to the entire group. If you after thinking through the question, you direct it to the whole class. So class, what is this? What do you think we can do for this? So we are saying that use your eyes to indicate the questions is for general consumption. Then avoid harpooning, that is identifying students who will answer before you ask the questions. As we already know, we don't mention students' name in class before we ask the question. So, Elvis, what is this? No, we don't do that. What is this? You ask the whole class, what is this? Then from there, you can ask the question, you can bring out the person's name. Elvis, what do you think questioning technique is? So you don't ask, you mention the person's name before you ask the question. Rather, you pose the question before you call the person's name. And then again, something that you need to avoid is, can anyone tell me? Who can tell me? Does anybody know? If you do this off-campus teaching practice, you are going to lose marks somewhere. So the question is, what is this? Tell me what this is. We are saying we do not like you to ask questions like, who can tell me? Can somebody tell me? It means that when you say that, you expect some students to be able to answer it, and then the others, they shouldn't know. But what you are putting there, we want everybody to, you said that by the end of the lesson, learners will do this. So why is it that in the middle of your teaching, you are saying who can? So you think that they can't do it. So what you yourself, you are putting down, you think they can't do it, so who can? No. Then you also keep the question simple. You keep it simple and avoid questions which require the student to agree to an unstated assumption before answering. And then again, avoid thoughts blocking phrases such as, what about the fact that, as regards the, no, you avoid such phrases. So given the fact that occurred, what would you think about? No, you avoid such questions. So you also use language at the level of the class and use correct grammar too. And when you ask the question, you have to pause for about 3 to 5 seconds. And then you wait to give students time to think for about 5 seconds, which may seem like eternity. Is really not much thinking time. Then you can call on a student by name. When you do that, you also spread your questions around the class. Don't limit your questions to just a few students in a class. Then listen to the student's response. Listen to what the student is saying rather than mentally rehearsing your next questions. So you have asked a question. Listen to what they are saying rather than you thinking about the next question that you want to ask. No, you don't do that. Then when somebody answers in class, you respond. And then you acknowledge that response that they have brought. So you provide a simple verbal or non-verbal acknowledgement. So you respond by saying, oh, clap for him, clap for her. Oh, this is a great answer. Sometimes learners would answer and then we don't say anything. It doesn't motivate them. So all these things are rewards that motivate learners to participate in our lesson, and then it also helps them to learn. Okay, so we are saying that with your response, the response to what you sever the response. Often a response will be superbly interesting, creative, and even witty. Mentally evaluate the answer and nuance of the language and to give yourself to think about what you want to say in response to the student. So student has given you the response, but you think that the student has really done well. So you don't say clap for him throughout. You look at what the learner has brought and then you say, they give the next response. Okay. Then we have common pitfalls in the question and answer method. We don't want you to ask questions which are yes or no. So, do you understand how does and such works? The student may have yes or no answer. So, better it is to be phrased to elicit a more extended response. Please explain how thus and such works. That is better than do you understand how? The automatic answer that the learner would do is, oh yes, I do. But if you say explain, then it means the person, even if he does, he will explain what the question means. Then can you tell me? Who can tell me? And then would you like to? No, I don't like. Then the questions that go on and on with a lot of dependent clauses and hidden lecture information. Learn to listen to your own syntax. Be willing to stop and then rephrase a lengthy or awkward. So you don't ask a lengthy question. Any question or contribution, then we move on to the next method, which is what's any question or contribution. Okay, somebody will say silence means consent. Okay, so we have the brainstorming method. I think most of you have been using the brainstorming method in your places where you are. So brainstorming is the terminology given to the general discussion sessions during which people express ideas freely. So brainstorming, people express their ideas freely. And it is a technique for generating ideas or a variety of solutions to a problem. And it has a place in decision making as it helps to increase the range of factors taken into account in reaching a consensus. It is best used with groups of between 5 and 20. The brainstorming method is used of groups between 5 and 20 students. There are 4 distinctive stages in the brainstorming which must be followed. The first one is defining the problem for which is required. The first thing that you do is you need to define the problem. So all members of the group must be clear about the kind of ideas they are trying to produce. So you have asked the question, what is this? And they don't understand. No. So let them be aware of, oh, so we are looking at this, and the answers that we can bring is what we expect to answer. Then the next one is the brainstorming itself. Brainstorming itself. Now the teacher or the group leader, who may be a student, so the group leader may be a student, invite suggestions or ideas. He records these ideas on the chalkboard or on the overhead projector. So if the teacher has a projector in a class, they will be using that. So all ideas, no matter how silly or inappropriate they may seem, are recorded. Now the ideas should be recorded even if they have been suggested previously. So if somebody has previously suggested it, you can write it. No discussion or clarification of any kind is permitted at this stage. Now, this brainstorming continues until all ideas are exhausted. Now, the leader of the discussion should have some ideas to suggest if the flow of ideas from members slow down. And this is done to start the flow again. So as we are saying, with the brainstorming, no answer is right or wrong. And we don't discuss it at this stage. So at the brainstorming stage, there is no discussion. No. So what you do is you just provide the answer and you'll be writing on the board. Even if somebody has said it, you can still bring it. It has to be written on the board. That's all. Then we have the third stage, which is the review. So after the points have been well written on the board, we are now going to review them. We are now going to look at them one after the other and see those that we can eliminate, those that we will maintain, those that have similar meaning and the rest. So each of the questions is reviewed so that it is clear to everyone what the suggestion is. Sometimes only a word may be recorded to represent a complex data, and a decision is made to keep the suggestion on the list for future discussion, or to throw those which are not worthy of discussion away. And this also enables related ideas to be put together for discussion, as I said. Then the fourth stage of the brainstorming is discussion. Now the remaining ideas are discussed to decide which suggestions to accept and to develop further. So we, after reviewing what we need to keep there, what we need to take away, we discuss the ones that we kept on the board for further explanation. Any question or contribution on this one? Any question? Do you have any question?
Adam.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we are fine. We are fine.
Okay, that is good. Let me see. So let's look at role play. Okay, so what is the difference?
Madam, please, I want to ask a question.
Please do.
Please, with the various types of questions that we can use, which of them falls? Which of them is appropriate when you are brainstorming? When you are using the brainstorming method of teaching? Did you get my question?
No, come again.
What I mean is that the various types of questions that we have learned this afternoon, vis-a-vis the probing and then the high order and the rest.
Exactly.
And which of them is more appropriate when you are using the brainstorming method of teaching? In case you want to ask questions using the brainstorming, which of them?
Okay, so the whole class, what do you think? Now we have the various types of questioning. That is the four types that we looked at this afternoon. So if we are doing brainstorming, which ones do you think we can use to bring out the ideas in the learners?
Please, I think it's the divergent question.
Okay, why?
Because the divergent questions, it involves a several point or a several understanding of what I want to bring down. So, like what you said, the accident scene, you'll be coming out with various suggestions and various ways to, let's say, minimize or to stop the accident. So you come out with different suggestions. So upon that, you can come out with a conclusion, find out the one which is better to solve the problem that is at hand.
Okay, any other person? Any other?
Madam,
Yes.
yes, I also think that the high order question or type of question and answer will do, because a question that has been put on board for brainstorming may entail a lot, and therefore if you look at the high order aspect, we have comparison, you can compare, you can evaluate, you can analyze all aspects, so that at the end of the day you will be able to review and then come out with the ones that you need most, and then you discuss on it. So for me, in the aspect of the brainstorming, I will go for the high order questions to deal with it. Thank you.
Okay, that is fine. Any other idea? Somebody says divergent, another also says high order. What do you also think? To do brainstorming, what do you think we can use? Hmm? Hello. Okay, so well, this question, if I am to answer you, I would say it is also a high order question, as the last person said. Why? Because you see, with brainstorm, you see, you are using your brains to bring out some ideas on an issue. And it is not just what is. So it is not just a question, convergent question that you are going to ask, what is this? And then the person will give you the answer. The person is actually going to think about it. So for instance, if let's say we are looking at how we can solve problems with, let's say, flooding in, let's say, Accra, and a question is being asked, so what do you think, or how can we solve flooding issue in Accra? Then we are going to brainstorm. So we want the idea, so we are going to. But what we are going to do, we are going to brainstorm on what we can do to stop flooding in Accra. So through brainstorming method, what do you think we can do? Then one person will come, so we should clean our gutters. That is one. To clean our gutters, weed around don't throw rubbish in the gutters. So as those answers are coming, they are actually thinking about it. And you see, it is not an answer, and we are going to see, we are saying that it is high order, and it is actually two, high order and divergent, because everybody is bringing his or her idea, and no one's idea is, we are going to say, is correct or wrong. They are all bringing their ideas. So as they are thinking about it, they are bringing their ideas. Then after, we are going to look at it. So it is neither the convergent or probing. Probing comes in when they actually, you asked and they couldn't do it, or they brought an idea and you want more clarification. But with the high order, they are going to think about it. It is more of high order than even the divergent. The divergent is they bring in an idea that you look at it and you are going to, oh, they give a judgment on it. Or we think you can solve flood issue with this, that's all. They're actually going to think about it, bring out the ideas, and it is not going to end with one person, about 5 to 20 people. So that is it. But as I said, it is not straightforward like as it happened. It is. So maybe all of us will go, once we have looked at it, we are all going to check which one will be more appropriate, because it looks more of the high order, and then a little bit divergent also comes in. So we are all going to look at it and then come back next week and see which one will be more appropriate. I will.
Yeah, Doc, I'm grateful. Thank you.
You're welcome. So as I said, let us look at the differences between role play and dramatization. What are the differences between role play and dramatization? The differences between role play and dramatization. You know what role play is, right?
Yes, madam.
Okay, so let's see the difference, what role play is and what dramatization is. So let's say something. What is role play and what is dramatization? What is role play and what is dramatization? Then when we know the two, we can look at the differences. So what is role play?
Madam,
Yeah.
I will say that the role play deals with students, deals with when students try to solve problems by acting it out or acting them out.
That is role play.
Yes, madam.
Okay. Okay. Any other person? The role play and what is role play?
Madam, let me also come in.
Okay.
With the role play, it's where you let learners act for a particular role, without giving them, let's say, a script to follow.
Okay.
As in, like drama, for instance, with a drama, normally they use scripts. They look at a story and then they act on that story, but they are guided by script. And that is the difference between the role play and the dramatizer. I think so.
Okay. Okay. Any other? Any other?
Madam, I think. Okay.
Oh, 2 people were coming in.
Madam, I gave the role play and my brother came in to add the dramatization. So that's why I wanted to give her the chance to come out with.
Okay.
Role play involves acting out a character.
It involves what?
It involves acting out a character, often for creativity or educational purposes.
Okay. Okay. And then what about the dramatization? Okay, so for instance, with the role play, I don't know whether you remember those days in the books, the English textbooks, we have some roles in there, the sweeper, the doctor, the farmer, who is more important, and then the teacher will ask you, so you people, you Ekuya, you are the farmer, Adwa, you are the sweeper, Ernest, you are the doctor. So take the roles and start reading. See, you are not acting, you are just playing a role as that person. Okay. So then let's say we are treating nuclear family and we ask you, okay, so Adwa, you are the father or you are the mother. Kojo, you are the father. AC and Araba, you are the children. So they will just play the role. But with the dramatization, as somebody rightly said, that you are going to act. Okay, sometimes to the extent that you can be given a script. So other times you will not be given a script, but you are going to act like you are that person. But with the role play, you just if it is a lesson that we are doing, you just put yourself in a situation that, oh, I am this, and in the class you describe it. So the teacher should describe each of the roles and the situation to the class. So the class, we are going to do this. So Adra will be the mother, the Kojo will be the father, and this one will be the children. She has defined the roles, and then you are just playing it as it is. But with the drama, you are going to act. So you need to even change your costume. You change into costume and then come and act in the class. That is the dramatization. So you are acting like somebody who is doing the depot right. So they will dress you like somebody who is coming to do depot. You act in that order in the classroom. All right. And then we have the discussion method. Discussion method. Discussion method. You have the discussion method. What do you think the discussion method is? Discussion method, what is it? We have seen the question and answer. We have seen brainstorming, we have seen role play or dramatization, the discussion method. Okay, so the discussion is an activity in which people talk together. So this is an activity in which people talk together. And in order to share an idea about a topic or a problem, or to seek possible available evidence or a solution to a problem. Now, we have types of discussion. Now, discussion may be implemented in various or a number of ways. The types of discussions available to the teacher include whole class discussion, small group discussion, which includes debate, panel, bus session, and then forum. So we are going to take them one after the other. The whole class discussion is generally preferred when the teacher employs the discussion method of teaching. By this methodological approach, the teacher simplifies or simply leads an informal discussion involving the whole class as a whole. The teacher, as the director of the discussion, asks questions, clarifies students' comments, and make tentative summaries to help students achieve understanding of the topic. So that is the whole class. The whole class is there. The teacher will pose out a question to the whole class, and you see that everybody will bring his or her idea. Meanwhile, the teacher would direct the discussion. At some point, the teacher can even ask questions, or the student can even ask questions, then clarify students' comments, and then make tentative summaries to help the learners. Then we move on to the small group discussion. Now, dividing the class into smaller groups has its own advantages, and these include increasing the amount of students in the lesson. So when you divide them into small groups, you see that each of them participates, because we are 3 in the group. Like, for instance, I said you are to do the assignments 2-2. So if you are 2 in the group, it means that nobody can dodge. But if it is the whole class, some people can dodge and will not take part. So, and we are saying that small groups of approximately 2 to 7 are used to help bring individuals together to share ideas. And when using this method of teaching, one task is to be assigned. When we are using this method, one task is to be assigned. And there are types of small group discussion. The first one is the debate. Debate. When we say debate, what comes into your mind? Debate, the normal debate that we have. So you explain, use it as a small group discussion, and let's go.
Madam.
Yes.
Doc, with the debate, it's a formal argument where a topic is going to be discussed with having an opposing sides. So there will be a topic, and some will speak for, and others will also speak against a topic that's being given.
Okay. Okay, then after.
Hello, Doc?
Yes, then after what happens? The topic is, some will speak for, some will speak against. Then after, what happens?
And afterwards, there will be a judgment.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so as you said, so with the debate, it is a normal debate that we have. So a topic will be given to the small group, and then it is like two sides of the coin. Some will be for, some will be against. And then at some point, we can even give different topics for you to look at. After, we can also alternate the groups. Then, when we look at the pros and cons in whatever topic that you have brought, then the teacher can now bring the whole class together. You see, you give them a topic, some are for, some are against. So when they are done, you look at the pros and cons. Then the teacher will bring the whole class together for a discussion. Then the next one is panel discussion. Panel. What is this one too? Panel. Panel.
Madam, I want to talk.
Yes.
With the panel discussion, you select a few students who will be in front of the class, give them a topic, and then they discuss it. They discuss on the topic.
Okay. Then
So
after
sometimes someone will be there moderating on the topic, asking questions, whereby some students will be there to be answering the questions.
so just as she said, sometimes when you look at, we see some panel discussions on television. You see Bulldog and the rest, they are sitting there, somebody will be moderating them. Then you see that these people have researched on a topic and then they are coming to give their views. So in the same way, and when we are using the panel group discussion, the teacher can divide the class into 3 or to 6 students. Then the students forming the panel then organize themselves. So the topic will be given to them, they will go and research on them, and then they will come and discuss in class. So they will sit there like panel members. So somebody will be there, will be asking them the questions all about the topic. So sometimes even look at the definition, others can look at the advantages, the disadvantages, and the rest. So when everything is done, then their findings will lead into a whole class discussion. So we'll start from there. Normally, the small group discussion leads to a whole group because it is a classroom something. When we are done with the small group, we transfer or we translate it into a larger group discussion. So that is the panel. Then we have bars sessions. Bars session. Bars session. This one, how do you understand the bars session? Bars.
Doc,
Yes.
with a buzz, a teacher will divide a class into smaller groups. And then each group will be given a topic. After that, each group will come out with a topic that has been given to share ideas to the whole class as far as each topic that has been given is concerned.
Okay. So to add to what you said, so with the bar group, you put them into smaller groups, but this one has to do with specific amount of time. So you give them, I'm giving you 15 minutes. Be in groups of 4. I'm giving you 15 minutes. When you finish, we'll come back. So the bar session has to do with specific amount of time that they give to them for that discussion. Good. Then we have forum. Forum. What will you say about this one to the forum?
Okay, madam.
Yes.
It is a platform or space for discussion or an exchange of ideas.
Okay. All right. And the other person to also bring your idea. That's fine. The gentleman who also came in.
I think it's in line. So this one, the forum, everybody has the free will to also speak and share their opinions on a particular topic, which has been brought by the teacher.
Okay, so with this, the topic that they are going to present is actually presented by the student. You see, as we are saying, the students will be doing most of the things. So the teacher gives a topic to some students. So just like the SRC student forum, open forum that you have. So the students, those selected students, a small number of students will come and do some presentation to a larger group. So let's say about 4 students will come and do a presentation, and then the whole class will be there. So when they are done, then upon the conclusion of the presentation, the presenters then will solicit for questions on the topic from the audience, the larger group that is there. And you see that it will put the presenters in the role of authorities on the topic for discussion, and then questions from the class or audience may be directed to the specific members of the group. So sometimes somebody will say, okay, Mr. A, you said this, I want clarification. So that question will be directed to Mr. A, and then Mr. A will answer it. Or if any member of the group has an idea, that person would give an explanation. Okay, any question or contribution? And then let's do that. We have some general suggestions for small group discussion. The first thing that you are supposed to do is, if possible, you can make the learners move chairs in small circles. If you are, sometimes if you are doing your small group discussion, they can have their chairs in small circles. And then make the activity clear before the class breaks into the groups. Then the teacher should move from group to group as a facilitator. So you don't stay in one group for a very long time. You move from group to group, then you facilitate. And then you also mix up group for different activities. So today, you group A is comprises of these people. Tomorrow, mix them. So you don't use the same members for the same for different activities. Make sure you vary the groupings. Then again, you need to alternate small grouping to the large class discussion. You don't need to always do small groups. Sometimes the large class too is also good. Okay. As I said, do you have any question or contribution?
So, Madam.
Yes.
So as you do, maybe you have an objective where you want the discussion to get to, and what you want the children to solicit or bring out. So in the case where you organize them, reshuffle them, will you be able to get the objective of what you want them to get, or what you want them to come out with?
No, so you didn't get me. So today, let's say you are doing English and you decided to do small groupings. So the group that you did here today, they have solved it. Tomorrow, you are doing in mathematics. So you don't need to maintain the same group. Other than that, same members will be in the same, and then familiarity. So we are saying that at times you change or you vary the groupings. So you don't maintain, like, let's say they came to class 2 and they have been in that group since class 2, then they are moving on. So other subjects too, or other topics that you are treating, you can vary the groupings. And don't let the same members in the same group. Sometimes you know how learners learn. Somebody can be very comfortable in a group and will misbehave, will not even take part. But when you take that person to another group, you see that the person has no choice than to work. So that is why we are saying that you don't maintain it. It's not that activity that they are doing that you have to vary it. No. When in class and then you think that, oh, today I want us to do a small group discussion, we are saying that don't maintain that group. You can vary the group members. Are you okay?
Yes. So, madam, so which means that you get to some places, there are some teachers, science teacher has formed a group, and then he will also come and then he wants to form a group. He asks, oh, do you have groups already? He said, yes.
Okay, then use that group.
Exactly.
So that is what we are saying, that it is not the best. If you can, just alternate the groups so that you can mix their abilities. Probably the first group that you had, some friends are in that group. You get it? And because of that, they will not even mingle with the others. So when the other teacher also comes, or you are even the same teacher, you are having another activity, you can mix the group so that they can interact with themselves. Because when you maintain that group, social studies teacher comes, oh, we have a group, and that group will be there till they finish. And I can tell you that somebody in that class for a whole term will not speak to a learner in that class before they move to the next class. So it is advisable that you alternate so that they can interact with themselves in the class. That is why we are saying that.
Madam.
Yes.
Hello, madam. I also want to add something to it. With that of the group, you group, a specific group for the class.
We didn't get you. You have to come again.
I don't think it's even advisable to depend on that because that is good in mathematics. But there is another member in that group who is good in probably mathematics. So sometimes, just as you were saying, you have to alternate them, mix them up. You might even find a particular group which majority of them may not be good in maybe the mathematics. So you had to mix them up so that there will be a mixed ability group where you really feel that there should be a mixed ability group to deliver your teaching. So we can, based on the previous teachers group that he or she formed, and then lay hands on that, because not all students are very good in all subjects. I know from who teaches at the basic school as a subject teacher, you may find a teacher very good in mathematics, and then you see an English teacher saying the girl is not good in English or the boy is not good in science. So if you maintain them in a particular group, I think it doesn't help and makes them a group leader or subject leader. She might be good in maths, but not be good in RME. That's my opinion. Yeah. Thank you.
That's fine. Yeah. Sure. So that is it. That is why we encourage you to vary the groupings. Okay. That is fine. All right. So let's move to games and simulation. Games and simulation. So the games and simulation, what are they? What is a game and what is simulation? Games and simulation, what are they? Games and simulation. What are games? Games that we actually use in teaching as a method of teaching. What is it? games as a method of teaching, what is it?
Madam, I would say games, the method of using the game, mostly games goes with rules and regulations that
Okay.
governs that particular activity that you are doing. Because every game has its own rules and regulations. It doesn't just go as a free. Even if it has a freestyle, it has its own rules. So you can use a game where the students will follow some rules in the course of the delivery of your teaching. So they follow it to solve a problem. It can be even a video game or maybe a non-digital game, but mostly I know that with that of the gaming, it has its own rules and regulation, which at this point it helps especially the silent and the introvert ones to also come in to participate, and it's one of the quite lively method that we use to deliver teaching and learning.
Yeah.
That's
Sure.
my
So
opinion.
so give me an example. An example of a game to teach maybe mathematics or something. Yeah.
Okay, let me see. You can teach something like what should I say? Probably teaching abacus. You can
Okay.
have the abacus, that is what do you call it? Using the tens, ones, and hundreds to teach by using the abacus. Then you cite a rule of it that probably if you move, when you're moving one, when it's 10 and it's moving to the other, we represent it with one maybe bead or something. So probably you can cite a rule that when you forget to move it one and maybe you are out of the game. It can be a fun where students will be grouped or they'll be lined up, and then the abacus will be presented to them. Then you write the value on the board for them to, and then you'll be timing them, that the one who'll be able to arrange it first will come out as the winner of the game. And then you cite those rules, and then you divide the rest of the class to back each and every one representing. So you see the other classmates giving their rep a morale to do it and all that. I think it's something fun that it's a game. We can use that, and everybody will be involved in that. That's
Okay. Thank you. All right. So an addition to is there, if let's say you want to teach even numbers and then odd numbers. So there is this game that we were using it to play here and there. Mathematical set. If you make a mistake, the lower and upper and the 2, 4, 6. If you say 1, you are out. But if you say 2, you are in. So 2, 4, 6. So in that order. So you see, when you are teaching them even numbers, it becomes easier. They are, as she's saying, they are all happy in their class, they are following, they want somebody out, they want somebody in. And you see, with game 2, as she said, it deals with rules. It deals with rules. And then it is a competition. Okay. We have winners and then we have losers. So if you want to use game in your class, you let them know that this is a competition. We are going to get winners. We are going to get losers. You see that some learners will lose and then they will start crying. And it is all part of the game. And with this one, the players learn while they are playing the game, and then they may use their knowledge in some way to win the game. So, and you see, it is a game, all right, but you need to think like you are playing Ludo. You don't just play Ludo like that. You need to think. When I get to this point, I need to go and kick this one to his home so that I can move. If I don't do that, he will kick me and then I'll be last. As you are playing the game, you are using your mind too. And we are saying that games can be adapted to reduce competition and encourage cooperation by having rotating terms of changing the game's objective. And so, because you are the teacher, you need to sometimes make sure that you can change the game's objective rather than they fighting and doing this. You tell them it is a competition, but it is for this class purpose. So this is how we are going to do it. This is how we are going to play it. And then games are frequently used for language, mathematics practice, but you see other subjects too. Normally they can adopt and then use the games. Many things have happened. As she's saying, we have video games that we can use in other subjects, which are also fine. Then we have simulation. What are simulations? Simulation. What are they? Simulation. What are simulation? What are simulation? Simulation, what are they? Now we know games. So what will be simulation? Hello.
Hi.
So what are they?
So, madam,
Yes.
in comparing it with the game, I will say that one, the simulation deals with real life situations where individuals model or practice an activity, and here the rules are somehow flexible. It is not like the game where there is a strict rules for them to follow. And so, for example, when you have something like someone who is being trained to simulate like a pilot, and then again, this area is mostly used in areas like social studies and other stuff for critical and then evaluative thinking by the students. That is what I can say about it. Thank you.
Okay, that is fine. Any other person? Simulation is fine. Any other person?
I'll explain it the way I understand.
Yes, so bring your
Like trying to imitate something, acting out like the real thing, but it is not real. Example like the movies that we watch, for instance. Sometimes they are not real, but the person can act it out and you might think it is real. But when you come to the real situation, that is not the real thing. So trying to imitate something, but that is not real. That is how I understand the simulation.
Okay, that is fine. So yeah, that is it. So a simulation is a learning activity that is designed to reflect a real situation or system. It is being designed to reflect a real situation or system. And it is so simplified simulations can be designed by teachers to help students understand other cultures, society, and historical period. So as I earlier said, that you are teaching something on depot rights, so puberty rights, and you tell one lady to come and then dress like somebody who is doing that right. Maybe the person is even in class 4 or class 3. So she has not even reached the puberty stage, but she is acting like somebody who is doing depot right. It doesn't mean that that girl is actually doing the depot right. The same way as she said, those who do the Ghanaian movie, you see, oh, JY is a witch. She's doing this, she's doing that. In actual sense, that is not her. She's just acting. It is not the real thing. She's just doing something that represents the real thing. And we do that to understand culture. We are in Ghana here now. We know what goes on in Nigeria because of the simulation that they do. They do things to depict what happens in Nigeria, so we know. Okay, and as we sit here, we all know what happens in the palace, but we have not. Most of us have not been there before. But people come and act and behave as if they are in the palace and what goes on in the palace. So with the simulation, we have seen what they do there. Then the next one we have is the field trip. The field trip.
Madam,
Yes.
This simulation and modeling like someone and then a behavior and what have you, for example, like the chewa we have just used. And sometimes we model good marriages and then bad marriages. Depicting these things in the real in a real life situation by some of the students. Sometimes you finish the simulation and then if let's say there was a name which a particular student used, that is the end of that student. That name is for the person throughout the academic year. So when situations like this happens, we sometimes have to either tell them, hey, don't call him or her like that again. And in the teacher's absence, hey, wahala. Then they form a queue coming to inform you that they are calling me like this because of the play or the role play that took place. How do we deal with such situations?
Okay, so class, I want you to let's discuss, then I'll add my voice. He says that when you sometimes do simulation, it becomes your name, especially when we have bad characters in there. It becomes, as for the good ones, they will accept it. So something like Jesus, and they are calling you Jesus, you like it. But the bad ones like JY and the rest, what should we do? Class, what should we do?
Well, madam, my line wasn't the network isn't that stable, but I managed to grab the end of what he's saying, that probably after the simulation activity is being done, students end up mocking or creating funny things over the one who was selected to perform that particular activity, to be corrected.
Sure, that's it.
Before you start the whole the activity, you first of all cite the students down and let them know the purpose of doing that and the benefits we need to get. And then you let them know that you wouldn't want them to tease or mock or make fun of anybody who will be selected, because then let them know the benefits, because those who are being selected or anyone who comes, it's a means of building you to learn how to speak in public. You have to take an activity in public. So we don't know, they shouldn't take this as a means of making fun of that person. And then we set some rules about it. Probably anyone who will be caught of that, maybe the necessary punishment will be given, because we are doing it for better understanding or to enhance the teaching and learning before the whole thing starts. So I think when you cite them down, I remember personally with the example, I was teaching an activity like the depot that you were saying. I was teaching Bragro. So some of the girls had to come and perform. At a certain point, we were doing death rites. So somebody has to come, be the dead man, and then somebody should be the bereaved. But before we started the whole activity, we watched the video. Then we also did the role play of it, where some people were the widow, the children, the orphan, and the dead man, and all that. We brought some board where the dead man was laid in state, and we were watching. But before I started the whole thing, I sacked the whole class mind that it is for educational purpose, so that in the examination you will get some to write. And then in our locality, when something is going on that way, you have already learned it in class. So I wouldn't want to see anybody making fun of somebody or trying to, as the person is performing, making a funny activity so that the person wouldn't continue anymore. Any fun one seeing that will be punished. And I even said that the punishment is that we will take you to the other class. You won't enjoy some. So I realized none of them wanted to go out of the class and wanted to enjoy some. So that was the rule I set. And lo and behold, it was a 3 days activity. It went well, it was fun, and nobody made fun of anything. So I believe when it starts earlier, those crises wouldn't come. That's my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. So that is it. So before you do anything in class, you just set the rules. Before, so when it shouldn't be after. So after, then you are coming to, so you don't name them. No, you don't do that. You set your rules and your regulations, what's the parameters, what you want them to do, what they should do and what they shouldn't do before and after the class. So when you do that, it seizes everything. Nobody would misbehave. Thank you so much. All right. Any other question? Then we continue. Okay, so we are moving to field trip. Okay, so field trip too is another method that we use in teaching. So I want us to look at how field trip is being done. What goes into it before you even go to the field, what we do and how we can go about it. So what is field trip about? What is it? How do we go about it?
Okay, Madam.
Yes. Sure, go ahead.
field work and also to gain practical experience and have first-hand information. So, for example, I'm teaching history, and my topic is on how the Europeans ruled the Gold Coast. Now, from what I'm teaching, we learned that the Europeans, when they came, they built forts and castles. And for the kids to know more about what I'm trying to teach them, I decided to take them out from the class to the various castles and forts around that. I know. For instance, in Accra, then we also have the Accra that's what
Can you stand well? It looks like
okay. And I'm saying
your
that
network is very
the
bad. Can you stand well? It is. Mhm.
Is it okay?
Now I think now is better. So maybe you
Hello.
can start all over again. Yes, this is better. So start all over again.
I was saying that field trip is
Mhm.
an educational experience where students visit a place outside the classroom to observe and learn from the real world, and then also to gain practical experiences. And I gave an example that in history, when the Europeans came to colonize us, we have the forts and the castles that they built, and then they were having their trade. And in Accra here, we have the forts. We have Usher Fort, we have Christianburg Castle, and they have more. They have people there who have the real historical, the history behind uh, the Europeans coming. And so, me moving my children from the classroom to the Usher Fort and to the Christianburg Castle for them to get first-hand information or more detailed information on how the Europeans came to Ghana and Gold Coast to colonize us is what is termed as heritage. And then the necessary steps I take before taking them outside, taking them from the school to these various places that I'm talking about. First of all, you start with your head teacher that this is what they are teaching this. I have to move them out from the classroom to the very side for them to get the real hand information or the. So after talking to my head teacher, if he or she agrees, I go to the site myself. If you go to the Istanbul, tell them that I'm having a lesson with my learners, but I want them to visit the place to get more and real insights, have a feel and touch of whatever that I've told them in the classroom. These people will give me the go ahead to start. And then, with the public schools, for instance, you have to channel it through your district education office. Then, when the district education office, the director accepts your request and grants you the permission, then you take your learning to the field. Now when you go to this field, we have the tour guides around who would take the children out to the dungeons, to the rooms, the various places in the castle, and then they talk to them or tell them what really happened at that place. Or for instance, taking them to the Kwame Nkrumah Museum, where they'll get to see the very car that Kwame Nkrumah was using, his pen that he was using to write, the bed he was sleeping on, and then after through all this, then you bring them back to the classroom, continue with whatever that you have. So
That is fine. Very good.
that is
So
that.
she has said everything. She has
Please,
said, so that is, yeah, thank you so much. So as she said, field trips.
She didn't allow me to say some.
Oh, she said all. Okay, do you have anything to add?
Oh, madam, she has said all.
Oh, okay. So she left something small. So now that you have come back, you need to let the class send a thank you message to the one who hosted you there. So because next time you might go there again, so you can write a thank you message and send to them. So that is the only thing that you left out.
Oh.
Yeah, you need to thank them for. Then let's look at demonstration. Demonstration quickly. Demonstration method. What goes into demonstration? Demonstration. Demonstration. Demonstration method. What goes into?
Okay, madam.
Yes.
It's a demonstration method. It's a technique where the teacher shows the student how to perform a task. And so my
Okay.
class, for instance, exactly a year like this, we prepared liquid soup. And
Okay.
before we prepared it, I demonstrated how to do it first to them before the items were given to them. They were in group for them to do it on their own. And then they present it and we wrap up. So that is my explanation for this demonstration. You practically doing it for the learners to see first before you
Yeah.
ask them also follow what you have done and do the same thing.
Yeah, sure. So what are some of the advantages of this method? You are doing something in front of others. You do something in the presence of others so that they can do same. So what are some of the advantages?
Madam, it
Yes.
encourages observation and critical thinking. You know, when I was doing it, everybody was quiet and attentive. They wanted to know what you are doing and the outcome of what you are doing. And so they become very attentive and
Okay. Any other point? It says give them critical thinking. Help them to think critically. What else? What else?
step-by-step instruction.
Step-by-step
I
instruction.
was I was teaching my learners how to create a folder and then how to after creating the folder, we delete. When you delete also, it goes to the recycle bin for temporary storage, but we want it to be deleted permanently. And so I placed my desktop computer on a table. Then I created my folder. After creating my folder, it's a step by step. So, like, let me give how I did it. First, you right click uh, your mouse, and then the options will come. Then you select new. After selecting new, another option will pop out, and you select folder. Then immediately you select the folder, a new folder will appear on your desktop and write your name under it. So that is um, the steps in creating a folder. So after creating it, I call the learners to come and create theirs too. And they followed the steps that I followed, the steps that I took in creating the folder. They also use the same steps. At the end of the day, more than half of the class were able to um, create a folder and at the same time delete because they followed step by step what I did. So that is one advantage of demonstration method.
Okay. Wow. Thank you. And again, you see, when a good demonstration also holds their attention, it also gives them the opportunity to see or even hear what you're actually doing or what is actually happening. And it also, demonstration can also be used as to illustrate ideas, principles, and concepts. And also, students can conduct demonstration, that's building associated skills and attitudes, as you said. And then demonstration can reduce hazards before students begin experiments. You see, when you demonstrate the thing to them, now they know how to go about it. But if they do not know, you see that hazards can happen. Mhm. They would mess themselves and issues can happen. But once you demonstrate, they know how to go about it and it will prevent some of these things. So we have guidelines for maximum utilization of this method. The first thing that you do is you spend the necessary time. You spend the necessary time doing the demonstration. And then you practice or rehearse demonstration in its entirety with an eye on time limitation. So you know that they have given you a time to work within. So if you are demonstrating, once before you even go and demonstrate, you need to rehearse. Then you put into consideration the time that they have given you. Okay, so within 1 hour, how will I do this? Whilst you are rehearsing, you consider the time and then be able to do it. And then you also make sure seating arrangements, are such that the audience can see and hear. And then during demonstration, make use of questions to get feedback from the learners. And then at the time or at the end of the demonstration, conduct a brief preview of steps involved or short summary. Then we have case study or case history. Case study or case history. What are case studies and what are case histories? What are case studies and case history? Okay, so Case studies and case histories are essentially the same. The only difference is that case histories refers to patients, whereas case studies refer to situations. So the case histories, for instance, you are sick and then you go to the hospital, you have a headache. Then the doctor will ask you, when you were young, did you fall from a story building? Then you tell him yes. When you fell, did you go into coma for 2 days? He said yes. So in that order, so that is the case history, and we are saying it refers to patients. So when you go to the hospital, they say, oh, another case has come, another case has come. So they will pick your folder, and then the history that you have, they will be able to what relate. So that is case history. On the other hand, a case study is basically a description of what happened in a particular situation. So case study is what happened in a particular situation. For example, how the profit of an entity were improved. So in UCC here, how did our profits, let's say profit, UCC is a profit-making entity. So in UCC, how did we improve our profits? Then it is a case for us to study. So similarly, as I've told you, a case history is a description of a patient or his or her social history, preliminary diagnosis, examinations, and tests performed on him or her. Treatment will be provided, and the outcome, etc. In this form, both case studies and case histories can provide useful examples to illustrate general principles. Okay. Then we have the use of resource persons. So who are resource persons? At what time or at what point do we invite resource persons in the school? Because we have seen that it is also a teaching technique. So how do we use a resource person and who are they in a lesson? Let's quickly discuss. Who is a resource person?
Madam,
Yes,
a a resource person is an individual with expertise, knowledge, or experience in a specific area. And so, if I'm teaching personal hygiene, sorry, either personal hygiene or communicable diseases, a nurse is the best person who can give the detailed explanation of communicable disease. So going to this nurse and talk to plead with him or her to come and help my learners to understand and know more about communicable disease. This person becomes my resource person.
okay.
So they have the ability to share the knowledge and the experiences I want to pass on to my learners.
Okay. So how do we use a resource person? Now she has shown us who a resource person is. How do we use a resource person? How can we make it happen that a resource person will be invited to our school to teach? How do we use them? how can we go ahead and then bring in a resource person to our school? How do we go? How do we do it? I'm listening. Or we just get up and then go and bring somebody to our class. There are steps. So I want to know how we can go through these steps and then bring in a resource person.
Hello, madam.
Yes.
So I think that before you know you have your scheme, and you know the substance you'll be treating for the term or the semester. So you make you plan in such a way that any of the substance that you need a resource person, you have to write formally to the person, for the person to also prepare him or herself, so that when the time is due, the person can come and then deliver. Again, while you are writing, you have to inform your head of department or your head teacher, so that your head teacher will be aware that such and such person will come to the school as a resource person in such and such dates, so that appropriate preparations are made to receive the individual involved. After the lesson to just as we indicated, we have to write formally to appreciate the person, so that next time when the need arises, we can fall on him or her to come and then do it for us again.
Okay. Okay. That's fine. That is fine. So that is it.
Madam.
Yes.
Madam.
Yes. Yes, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so before you invite a resource person in, you first okay, before you invite a resource person in, you first have to identify your needs. What is it that I want, that I needed someone to come and help me with? Then after identifying my needs, then I have to look out for the potential person who have the relevant experience to deliver whatever I want that person to do for me. Then again, sometimes you cannot just go in one day and inform the person, then the person will follow you and come. No, you have to confirm the person's schedules and then his or her availability. After you have confirmed that the person is ready, or yes, he or she is ready and willing to come, then you will send an invitation to the person, providing him or her with the detailed information or what you want him or her to come and deliver. For instance, let's take an example. I want the police personnel to come to my classroom and tell my learners about the work of the police, what they do. After giving them an invitation, or yes, writing a letter to them, I have to wait for them to confirm my invitation, whether they will be able to come or they will not be able to come. After doing all this background work, then I prepare my learners for that particular lesson and then inform them about the guest who is coming and then this or a topic that is coming to deliver to us. And then when the due day or the set day comes, the resource person comes in and then deliver his work. Please,
Okay, thank you. Yes, so that is it. That is how to bring a
done.
resource person. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so if we have, and then don't forget, so when the resource person comes to the school, look at the language that the person speaks. If the person speaks the local dialects, then because it is in the classroom, you have the as the person speaks, you can translate into English. Uh-huh. And then after everything is done, um, you you thank him as you have said, and then you see him or her off. Any question or contribution on the method so that we quickly move on to a new thing. We want to start a new thing. Any question or contribution?
Hello, madam.
Yes.
Hello, doc.
Hello. Yes, I
Madam,
can hear
this
you.
resource person matter. Sometimes it involves financial commitment.
Yeah, of course.
And most of the times, the lower level, there's no resources. So, and there are certain areas that are so technical that you need the technical person to come and deal with that situation. And there is financial commitment. The school doesn't have money. The children are not supposed to pay any money. So, and the teacher's salary is also nothing to write home about. What then do we do?
Andrew, sacrifice.
Okay, so you see,
Sacrifice a lot.
as you said, it is important. So maybe you can discuss with the school and let's see how best they can help. Because if it is part of the lesson and he or she needs to come, definitely he has to. And so discuss with the school and let's see. Because if you take it out to, maybe you are not going to help the learners too. But if it is not anything, probably the person is even your friend. So if it is, let's say, TNT that you would give to the person who is coming, and it is within your means, as your colleagues have said, you have been doing a lot of sacrifices. So if it is
A lot.
that way you do, even your time you spend on them. Time is money. So if it is, let's say, something small TNT that can take the person in and out, maybe if it is within your means, you can help. But if the school can also support, maybe you can go to them to support. But when sometimes you are in some school and you feel like that school, you should even donate your salary to the school. So if it is something small that you can contain, then maybe I can say you can help them with it. Any other question or contribution? Do we have any question? Okay, so if we don't have a question, quickly let me swap and bring the new the next topic. Okay. All right. So quickly we'll be looking at guideposts in lesson delivery. I don't think we can finish, but if we don't finish, next week we'll continue. Guidepost to lesson delivery. So, you see, when we are delivering our lesson, before that we saw how we can plan and then we can prepare also to go and teach. So right now, we are in the classroom. We are in the classroom, we are about teaching. And in the classroom, you see, there are so many things that we can do in the classroom whilst we are teaching. So we are going to look at them one after the other. The first thing that we do whilst we are teaching in the classroom, so that's why we say guideposts in lesson delivery. So whilst we are delivering our lesson, some of the things that can guide us. Okay, so the first thing is communication. Communication. And as we all know, we can never do anything in the classroom without communication. And with communication, we are looking at different forms, verbal, non-verbal, communication, and so on and so forth. So we are going to look at them one after the other. We are saying that communication consists of the ability to speak, the ability to write, read, and even listen. So most persuasive communicators do not rely exclusively on reading and writing. No. They talk, some observe, as well as they listen, which serves as important function in the communication process. And they also engage in both non-verbal and verbal communication. So here we are saying that communication is an act by one or more persons of sending and receiving messages and providing opportunity for feedback. And the communication that we are talking about, the process involves one, we have an individual, that is a source, composing a desired message into a form that the receiver would understand. The next thing is they will transmit this message by either speaking or writing or through gestures. Now the transmitted message is accepted and decoded by the receiver. Then the receiver then becomes a source and encodes a reaction to your message. So that thing will become a feedback. So somebody, a source, will try to bring out something, compose something and then send. Then to somebody to decode what the sender has given. And then in return, that person would give feedback. So that is communication. So the feedback tells the sender whether the message received was understood or not. So as you send the message, you also receive messages in the form of feedback. We decode and react to the feedback. And the reaction may be to continue with the information, look for clarification, or we are going to repeat the message. So that is it. Now in the classroom, we have forms of communication in the classroom. And this form of communication, we have verbal or non-verbal. With a verbal or vocal, is a communication that is being done by speaking. So if somebody is speaking, so as I am doing a verbal communication. So the message communicated in any interaction depends on both the words and the meaning attached to the words spoken. So if somebody will understand what I am saying, they are going to look at how I put in the thing, how I am saying it, and then they are going to get, they are attached to how I am saying it. Then they will decode what they want to hear or want to know. Again, we are saying that it is important that despite the normal dictionary definition, the teacher must make sure that he or she, or make sure that his or her verbal instructions are related as much as possible to the learner's experiences. So how you talk is extremely important. The voice brings words to life. And normally we say that words spoken cannot be taken back. Right now, if we are talking and then somebody insults another person, that is what you wanted to say and you have said it. There is nothing that you can do that can change it. You have said it. That is what you want. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. It has come out of your mouth. So it relies on the person who received the message to actually what? And think about what he or she would decode out of what you said. So vocal refers to voice modulation. The tone, the pitch can change in a message emphasis as well as its very meaning. The rate at which the teacher speaks will impact students as well. When you speak rapidly or fast, you might convey the message that the subject isn't really important and you are rushing through. In contrast, words spoken at a slower rate can indicate importance and therefore they should be considered carefully. Now, the tone and pitch of the voice can communicate seriousness and validity. Skill at varying your voice can assist you greatly in keeping students on task and with the general management of the classroom environment. So that is the verbal. Now we look at the non-verbal way of communicating. So you see that we send messages without using words, which is a fact. And we constantly send messages through the way we dress, our posture, the way we look, move, and the way we use words. Somebody will see somebody going and say, look this girl, this girl. Is she not up to something? The person has not even spoken. The person has not done anything. But the mere fact, you looking at the dressing and how the person is walking about here and there, you have concluded in something. So that is what we are saying. That these non-verbal messages can reinforce, modify, or even contradict our verbal messages. When a contradiction occurs between the verbal and non-verbal or vocal messages, the vocal or non-vocal messages is usually believed. So for instance, I wish you could see what I'll do. So somebody tells, oh, Kojo, why are you annoyed? And some kind of work, then Kojo will make the face like, me boomful. Look at the tone, me boomful. And then the person too will look somewhere. And you see, when you do this, it says the only thing that the person will say is, you are really annoyed because your facial expression shows, and even the tone of your voice also speaks. So although you are talking, nobody will regard what you are saying, but they are going to look out for the nonverbal because that is what they see is the real thing. So we are saying that although we use verbal and nonverbal communication, at times the nonverbal communication overrides the verbal communication because of how it is being looked at. Now we have facial expression as one of the nonverbal communications that we are talking about. We communicate a great deal of information through our facial expressions. And these facial expressions can be readily visible or fleeting, voluntary or involuntary. Whether voluntary or involuntary, it can reinforce, modify, and contradict what is said verbally. So fleeting facial expressions are often unintended and are usually quickly covered up with other expressions. The eyes can be shifty and evasive, conveying hate, fear, and guilt, or they can express confidence, love, and support. For example, you may feel sudden dislike, anger for someone, but do not want to communicate this impression for the individual. Therefore, you quickly mask your true feelings or emotions with other intended expressions. So sometimes you are annoyed with someone, but you don't want to show it. So you just fake some smile, but deep within you actually do not like what the person is doing. So that is the facial expression. You can fake the expression, and you see sometimes when you are annoyed with someone, you will not talk, but your face will show. When you are happy, you will not talk, your face will show. When you are in love, you will not talk, but your face will also show. So teachers commonly use voluntary facial expression when communicating with students. Most teachers can open communication, prolong communication, or cut communication entirely with their eyes. If they want you to stop, you are doing something wrong in the classroom, the teacher will stop whatever he or she is doing and then will look at you. Quickly, you will stop. But he has not spoken. Why did you stop? Because he is speaking to you. In the same way, you are doing something, the teacher is happy you are doing it. So you see that the teacher brings a smile and then will be nodding the head, looking at you, smiling cheerfully. It means continue because he likes the answer that you are giving in the class. Okay. So you make eye contact where you want a student to speak and maintain contact for a prolonged communication. Conversely, you refrain from making eye contact with anyone who may want to speak. Students avoid eye contact with teachers to avoid answering questions. Teachers ask questions and you see that students will not look at the teacher's face, will be looking somewhere because when they look at the teacher will call him or her, so they will avoid looking into the teacher's face. We all have done some before. Okay. So a stare can also change student behavior. As I said, the teacher will stare at you and then you stop what you are doing. Then we have body language. So gestures with the head, the arm, the hands, and other body parts are often used as a nonverbal communicators. They may communicate approval, disapproval, emphasis, as when you tap something you have written on the chalkboard. So general posture, orientation towards the listener tends to suggest comfort in a communication interaction. The teacher may touch or hug, especially when dealing with young children. So you see the primary one and primary two, you vacate and then you come back, they see you, they will just come and hug you, madam. And somebody does well in class, you hug the person. So all these things just speak to the learner that, indeed, I care for you. Okay, in the class, somebody does something in the class, give me high five. Then the person will bring the hand. So it is, however, inappropriate with primary and secondary school students. Although it is unwise to touch these group of learners. An appropriate pat on the back may be a good source of reinforcement for students. So you see, those who are old, especially those who are in DHS and the rest, when you are dealing with them, you don't touch them anyhow. So hugging those in the primary school and the rest is even upper primary, there are certain things that you can't do. So you see, the body language you don't do. But those are the lower primary, as I said, class one, the person does something, you hug the person, you try to wipe the face, you ask what is wrong with you. So you should know how to use your body language when dealing with the learners. You see, we have different grades in there. So communication in the classroom. Now we are saying the ability to communicate with your student is central to your role as a teacher. So in communicating with the student, we send subtle signals about how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about the students, how we feel about the subject. Sometimes you are very tired. So how you even communicate in class shows. Sometimes how you communicate in class speaks about some learners. This class, when I even give you assignment, you don't do it, you don't learn. So the way you communicate to them lets everybody know how they are. And sometimes the topic that you are treating or the subject, if you feel that it is very difficult or it is not their level, you let us know. And then communication also let's allow us to see how confident a teacher is, how organized a teacher is, and then we are saying that teachers need to talk to students for a variety of reasons, for cognitive aspects, procedural, and then even managerial. So you talk to them, like you want them to use their mind. Procedural, when you are teaching in the classroom, how procedures should be. You set your rules and regulations, as well as managerial, maintaining the class, managing the class. Okay, these are all ways we communicate in the classroom. You are told, go and sit at the back. Nancy, come and sit in front. All these things are communication in the classroom. Okay, in my class, when you come, we don't talk. If you want to talk, raise your hand and then I will allow you to answer questions. These are all part of how we communicate in the classroom. Then we have listening. Listening as part of our communication. You see, it is different from hearing and then listening. It is different from hearing and then listening. You ask somebody, did you hear that they said, oh, yes, I heard. But what did they say? Oh, in fact, I did not listen to what they were saying. I didn't pay attention to what they are saying, but I heard them say something. So with this, we are saying that listening is an active process. It is an active process. And listening takes effort and discipline, but the results are rewarding. Hearing and listening are not the same. Hearing is an automatic physical component of listening. And to listen, you need to cut down on your talking. It is more than just being silent, like thinking. Listening is an intense, active process, and it takes into concentration, and then it has to do with self-discipline as well. I mean, give me a few minutes. Okay, so as I said, so listening is not the same as hearing. Listening, you make conscious effort. You concentrate. You are actually disciplined. You do self-discipline to make sure you listen. So right now, what we are doing, you see, we are listening. We are not just hearing what I am saying. We have actually made attempts to listen to everything that I say. So that is listening. And again, we are saying that the listening process starts with the physiological process of hearing. And hearing tends to listening, and a listening psychological process when you decide to attend to or focus on what you hear while blocking out everything around you. So because we want to listen, I think if there are noise around us, we quickly move from where we are, and then we go to a place where nobody can disturb us, so that we can actually do what? Listen, and listen attentively. So like talking, listening consists of both verbal components. The words we hear are only one aspect of listening. We also gain information through a constant interplay of gestures, feelings, and body movements inherent in human interaction. Then we have nonverbal cues that affect listening. The first one is eye contact. So you focus your eyes directly on the speaker. So as the person is speaking, you focus your eyes on the speaker while taking care that you are not making him or her uncomfortable. You actually look at the person's face, but just make sure that you not make the person uncomfortable. And then we have facial expression. So let your facial expression show that you are really listening. And these facial expressions should give feedback, either positive or negative. So if the person is saying something and you don't understand or you don't agree, your facial expression will show. If you understand, you see that you'll be smiling. If you don't understand, you see that you somehow squeeze your face, and then the person will know that you don't understand. Then we have body posture. Body posture. So how you are even relaxed. So a relaxed listener who leans towards the speaker communicates interests and involvement. When somebody is speaking and then you are relaxed in your chair, looking at the speaker, it shows that you are interested in the lesson. So all these things communicate. Okay. We have styles of listening. We have reciprocal and then non-reciprocal listening. So the reciprocal listening is a two-way in which listening can occur. And there is an exchange of information. So somebody speaks, one is listening, and then the person will give you a feedback. Then the other person will also listen to the feedback that the person is bringing. Then we have the non-reciprocal, and this is one directional. There is no feedback, and it is passive listening. An example is, let's say you are close by your radio or television, and then somebody is casting out the news or somebody is giving out the news. You just listen, whether it is you agree or not. You have to listen. You can't say anything. So that is the non-reciprocal. It is one directional, passive. You are just there. You listen, and then that's all. You can't say anything. There is no feedback. Then the next thing that we are going to look at is the teacher's appearance in the classroom. All these things communicate in the classroom. All these things speak in the classroom. So student learns from a variety of sources apart from the actual instruction A teacher's appearance, which includes his or her dressing, her demeanor, enthusiasm, invaluable input to successful lesson delivery, all are something that we consider to be communication in the classroom. So tips for appropriate appearance in the classroom. Now the teachers should avoid wearing tight fitting garments that may be revealing, especially the women. And then the teacher's facial appearance should be managed well to encourage good grooming. So if, let's say, you want to apply a little lipstick, you should be moderate, something small to keep your face brightened. You apply your powder or pons or whatever moderately. Then you come to class, not something that as if you are going to have a wedding, no, or you are going for a party. So in short, the appearance of an accounting teacher should be simple, moderate, modest, and exemplary. The skirt that you put on should be something that is okay. You don't put a longer heel, like about 4 inches, 5 inches, and then you take it to the class, and it is making noise too. We don't encourage that. Your hair too, if you have braided it and it is long, when you are going to teach, you just fold it. After class, you are in your house, you are going to church, you are going for a party, you can release it and then you use it for whatever you want. But in a class, we encourage that you can fold it nicely so that it doesn't distract the class. Again, in the case of in other cases too, you don't put on shirts or dresses that have writings. Instead of the learners concentrating on what you are teaching, you'll be reading the written things in your dresses, which we don't encourage. Okay, the hairstyles that we do, the ones that the Pragya people they have been doing, that hair, Rasta hair type that they have been doing. If you're a teacher, we don't encourage that you do that and send to the classroom. You see, learners learn from the teachers in the classroom. So as soon as you do some of these things, they copy. They copy. A teacher is having plenty mustache, plenty beard, and so on and so forth. We encourage that you be modest in effort in your style of dressing. You be modest in your style of dressing. And I think everything will be fine. And then we have getting the class ready for instructional takeoff. So you do not wait in the staff room for learners to come and call you before you come to the class.
Hello, madam.
Yes, hello. I'm listening. Yes.
Yes, madam. So,
Yes, I'm listening. You can.
With respect to
yes.
the dressing, yes, I'm saying that with respect to the dressing, sometimes
yes.
even the male teachers are found wanting when it comes to how some of the female teachers dress, and let alone the children. And sometimes when they tend sometimes when they tend to write on the board and you happen to pass by, you see that the children are not interested in what the madam is writing.
Yeah.
But they are interested in the figure they are watching. So, as you are saying, it is very, very important that our female
Hello?
And we are here.
Hello?
Madam, we are around.
Okay, it looks like your line went off. Okay, it looks like your line went off. So, as you said, this is rightly said.
Oh, okay.
Most of the teachers, most of the teachers, how now they dress and go to school, it's not something that we encourage. We actually want learners to emulate teachers. So anything that you do, you see, it is not a classroom that you are going to do anything that's or something that people are preventing you from not doing. You are just going there to teach. And those kids in the school, they learn how you are walking, how you are talking, how you are dressing, how you have kept your hair, everything. They look at it. And so for you to be an example for the learners, we are saying let all the things that you do be in moderation, moderate. Okay. After school, when you're going to church, when you're going anywhere, you can put on any dress, nobody will say anything. But in the classroom, sometimes it distracts them. As he rightly said, you think you are writing, you are teaching them, but it is not where their minds are. They are just looking at you. Okay. Mhm. Okay, so let me put in this last one so that next week we continue. So when getting the class ready for the instructional takeoff, what we are saying is you don't sit in the common room for learners to come and call you. Immediately you see that it is time, go yourself and then go and teach them. And once you enter the class, you ensure that you have everything. It is not now that you have entered the class that you'll be sending people to be going to look for other things. Go and bring me that, go and bring me marker. No, make sure you carry everything along. And then the learners to make sure that they also have everything. So next week, if they are going to use calculator, tell them this week that next week you use calculator so that when they come with everything. Again, when they are in the classroom, stop sending them. And then once you have sent them, you are teaching. So making them lose what you are teaching. So we don't encourage all these things. So that is how we are saying that if you want to get the class ready, these are some of the things that you do to get the class ready. Any question or contribution on all the things that we have done today? Do we have any question or contribution? On today's lesson? Do we have any question?
Madam, I think at this point we are fine. We are fine, and yes. But what I want to say is that we appreciate your time with us, and we hope that the slides will flow very soon. Plus the lesson plan.
I think I've shared
this thing. Eh.
I think we've shared earlier. I think your classmates,
you made mention that the one we discussed today.
So today's one you get it. You get it. I'll share it with you. You get it.
I wanted to ask a question on the previous slide.
Which?
In one of the definitions one man gave, which in fact it didn't go well with me, but then because we have moved from there, maybe one day when I meet the man, I'll ask
Okay,
him.
so maybe so you can WhatsApp me so that we can talk, or maybe next week's lecture you can bring it so that
Okay,
everybody
madam.
would get it.
Okay.
What do you think? So you can WhatsApp me or anything.
All right. All right.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. If you don't have more questions, then it means next week. You are saying next week is our last meeting, right?
Yes, madam.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, madam.
Okay. So next week we'll try and then finish where we'll get to, and then maybe if we have questions, like he's saying, if we have questions from all the things that we have done, maybe you bring it and then we try to clarify them. If you have contributions to, you bring it so that others can also benefit.
Thank you, madam. Next week to try to give us areas for the exam.
Okay, I'll do that. Sure, I'll do that. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So
So
I
most
think we
of
can.
meeting,
The assignment.
the
Is
mode
it the
for
assignment?
submitting
Yes,
any
madam.
Yeah,
link for
so
submitting.
give it to the course rep. Give it to the course rep, and then so give it to the course rep, then he can send to me. I want to get it in bulk. I don't want it pieces so that if some don't bring, I will not know. So you give it to the course rep and then he will send to me. You get it?
Okay.
Send to the course rep and then he will send to me. All right. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.